Hey guys, welcome back to Astro Diaries. I think this is going to be a treat for you guys. The long-awaited my questions for Darius J. Wright. You know, I had to do this. After this last interview that rolled out, I had to do this. And, normally I do these during like a walk. I just didn't want to miss anything. I don't want to get distracted by anything. So this is going to be just me. This is the construct, by the way, which I'm going to talk to you about. This is a person that's always next to the construct. Have you noticed? When Darius shows them, there's like a person looking down. And I just want to start it by saying, guys, this has nothing to do with, I'm not trying to say anything negatively about Darius. I respect the guy. I enjoy his work like most of you guys. It's not about him. He has an amazing message for all of us. Appreciate the guy. And it has to do with the people that he interviews with and the questions that these people ask. And I did a little video where I was talked about this access my deceased father. And during that, there's a little portion where I mentioned, talk about Darius. I said some of the questions I have for him. And I made like a clip out of that. And that's like the most viewed clip of my channel. It has over 2,000 views. The messages, the comments, some are like supportive, some are like kind of accusing me of like almost hating on Darius or something like that, which is nonsense. And there I said, maybe I should do one where I'm asking Darius some questions. And there it is, man, the long-awaited one. This background, I figured, these are some of the books that I've read on the topic. So I figured I should put something here in the background since I'm not walking around like I normally do during these videos. So let's kind of jump into this. I'm sure I'm going to leave things out. I did make a list of at least 10 questions. I was going to just stick to 3, guys, because the first 3 is the most important for me. But I'm like, you know what? Let's just kind of make a top 10. So you have somebody like Darius who's basically saying that, we're souls. We go on. We go forever. And he's done so many interviews where he's answered so many questions. Amazing, beautiful questions. This is an amazing message. The questions are far out there. And I said this in one of my comments, somebody who criticized me in my little short video that I'll put in the description. All those questions are great, man. Those are amazing. If it wasn't for those questions, Darius wouldn't be having the recognition that he has today. We wouldn't be talking about him. But you got to bring it down, guys. Okay? Bring it down like I'm going to do here in a minute. How about some follow-up questions? Keeping it a little bit simple. Hopefully, you'll like some of my questions here. And a lot of the same repeat questions, man, especially if at least first 10 interviews. Like these people, I get it. He was new. These are smaller channels. They probably didn't watch the other interviews, which you should, man. You should do your homework. Asking the same questions or like very similar questions. And poor Darius, literally, you could see a look on his face. So you kind of like, oh, here we go again. And he even said, you know what? I don't want to, cover the same information in some of his uploads, which is understandable. So having said that, a little intro, hopefully I didn't leave anything from my intro. That's a quick thing, I just wanted to kind of touch on that and let's dive in. So check this out, guys. So you have Darius, one of the best when it comes to this topic, out of body, astral projection, whatever you want to call it. Right now, he's one of the best, and you have him in your podcast for like an hour. And for some reason, it doesn't occur to you to ask the question that I'm going to ask right now. Darius, your most recent one. Can you tell me how it went? As detailed as you want. You don't have to get too much detail, just the basics of it. Now, check this out. So imagine Darius had 10 interviews, and these interviews, there's time between them, weeks, months sometimes. And Darius is somebody who's, I guess, projects on a weekly basis. So if 10 people ask a simple question, right now we would have 10 Darius stories. We would have 10 of them right now, And I got to go back. I got to move a little bit fast here because as I look at my phone, I only had 20 minutes to start this. I got to keep moving here. So, most recent experience, as detailed as you want, from start to finish, anything between. How nice would it be to hear that from Darius? His most recent experience, okay? Question number 2, second, the next one. The next one, the one you want to do, what are your goals? What do you want to access? You know, what are your goals at the time? What are you looking for at this stage in your experiences in this world? What are you looking to do access next? Where are you at? Are you trying to access this information, that information, halls of a mente, the stuff that he talks about, right? I'm kind of looking at my questions, guys, here. So question 2 and 3 are kind of the same one. Now, question 4 is a huge one for me personally, because question number 4 is why I got into this to begin with, which is accessing, deceased relatives. And in the process of doing that, getting a verifiable information. So, for example, I've had a very specific question from my father. I've accessed him multiple times, and the answer that I've been giving hasn't been quite what I was looking for, not in, let alone verifiable. So the example I used in a previous video was like, you ask somebody where's water, they tell you where ice is, where to get ice. I thought about another example. Let's say there's a red box, there's a watch in it, which my father was supposed to give me just about, a week before he passed away. And I don't know where this box is. And I access my father during out of body. And I asked him, hey, Dad, where's that box? Not because I care so much about this box or the watch, but to be able to verify something. And then he tells me it's in, Aunt blah, blah, blah's house, 3rd floor. And I go in there and physically after this experience, I'm able to find this box. And boom, I was able to get a meaningful, verifiable information with a deceased relative. Now, here's the thing. Has Darius experienced this? Maybe, but no one has asked him. That's the thing. Maybe Darius has experienced 10 of these so far, but no one has bothered to ask him this question. Now, he mentions his Uncle Bob and the great work and stuff, but that's it. No one else has said, hey, what about any other one? And especially if it's verifiable. So like the example I just gave you guys. I got to move fast, guys, because I don't know how much time I'm going to have on this one. So this number 4 is the huge one for me. This is the most important one for me. The construct. So he mentioned the construct, which kind of looks like a fish, like an upside down bowl. And there's usually like a person looking down. How big is this? Is this like looking down from space? You know how big Earth looks? And what does it look like? Because if this construct where souls go in and out, you should see billions of souls going in and out, and not to mention NDE, out of body travelers. With an AI, you should be able to make a nice little view of this, I know Andre, who's one of Darius' students, the way he explained it is like, I guess when you're out, you're not the size of you are in your physical body. So in this case, you're huge. So this is you looking down at the construct. That's kind of how he explained it, what I got out of it. But what does this look like? How as big is this? You should see billions of souls going in and out of this construct, I don't even want to go in the other realms. I'm trying to keep it down to Earth level stuff, So that's kind of one thing I was wondering. What does this look like? Maybe do a nice new AI generated version of this. How cool would that be? Like this huge construct with billions of souls are either going in to be birthed into physical bodies or coming back because they're either leaving their bodies or they basically passed away or whatever. So, Celeste, the being that basically has been in communication with Darius. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have to get personal, but I've been kind of curious, what does she look like? If you feel comfortable describing her, yeah, just describe Celeste for us. How do you gather information? So Darius has a lot of good information, but nobody ever tells him, okay, after you explain the 12 realms or whatever, how was that information transformed to you? Was it verbal, non-verbal? I'm assuming it's telepathically or whatever. But no one has bothered to ask the question, how is this information? How do you know what you know, Darius? Because Darius stays away from reading and stuff based on what I've seen. He doesn't want to be influenced. He doesn't even watch other channels. Is everything he's telling us has been gathered by him, and how? Give examples. For example, he did a good job where he kind of explained time. It says like a deck of cards, everything's like, imagine looking down on a deck of cards or something like that. That's pretty cool. More of those. No one bothers to ask a follow-up question. When Darius makes a huge statement, not claim. I'm not trying to accuse the guy. I mean, this is what he believes. This is what he wants to share. How was that information transformed to you? Please give a couple examples. You go to halls of mente, you get information. How did you learn that? How was that? Because in the physical world, we pick up something, we read it, right? Or it's being told to us. You know, how was this communicated to you? You know, and I think he kind of touched on this. How often do you do this? How many times a week? I think it's like once or twice. And how long, how much time do you spend usually during astral projection, OBE, whatever you want to call it? So that's a nice one for somebody to ask him. What about, you know, most memorable? So Darius has done thousands in the most recent interview that he did by some cowboy guy. And I can tell you, man, this guy has never had an astral projection. That's another thing I want to say. A lot of these guys, these are big channels who has no idea what this is. Unlike somebody like me who's been projecting quite a bit for the last year and a half, mainly because when I lost my father, I had to access things, and I've seen him. I asked him questions a couple times and stuff like that. Actually, you know what? Let's see, before I forget. So I'm in most memorable. The example that I want to say is, imagine the answers that I've been getting from my father using that red box example again. So I've asked my father a very specific question. Let's say the question was, Dad, the watch inside the red box that you were going to give me just a week before you pass, where is it? And here's my dad has told me during astral projection. Oh, you know what? Just look at a clock. Or you know what? You know, your phone has a watch. Do you see what I mean? It's not the answer that I'm looking for. That's kind of what I've been getting. I've been getting like a weird answers, similar, but not what I'm looking for. So if Darius has been able to confirm, Uncle Bob said there's a red box in Aunt Betty's attic, and Darius comes back, goes in third floor and her Aunt Debbie or Betty, whatever I said, house, and finds this red box. That's huge, man. That just, because even if you can verify a number on a board or playing cards, that could be just an ability that we have. But if you get a verifiable information from somebody from the other side, that just, you hit the nail in the head, you know. And by the way, before I forget, also is the closest thing to this I have is as a medium through an NDE. I mean medium, a guy named Mike Anthony, where she's able to do a really good verification for him. And then Cyrus Kirkpatrick also done one where he was talking to like a deceased soldier or something. So most memorable. You know, imagine if every person who interviewed Darius asked this question, and then if his answer changed, he could just kind of give a new one. You know what? Because maybe he had the most memorable one 6 months ago was one thing, now it's something else. And, you know, give as much detail as you're comfortable saying. I know he holds back sometimes. And then here's another one. And I said this in my very first video of this channel. When you travel from realms, how do you know where you are, man? How do you travel? How do you go from one realm to another? Like I said, it's not like we're in an elevator. I was in a cruise, you know, recently, and you could take the elevator up and down. I'm like, it kind of made me think about like, it's not like realms or like that. How do you know where you are? And then how do you go from one to another? I know Andre is one of his students. He was asked this question. By the way, a lot of the questions that people want to ask Darius, they've asked Andre, and he's done an amazing job answering most of those. And he said he's being led usually by a being or something, which is interesting. Okay, you know, what would Darius say? Is that the same answer? So, you know, guys, this is just 10 questions. I just kind of like, and I'm kind of looking at my time here. I had about 20 minutes. I'm around 14 minutes. I don't want to like run out of time and not leave anything. But guys, the most important one for me personally would be, imagine every person interviewing Darius, ask him your most recent, because that answer will be different each time. Because, you know, these interviews are apart, a month, weeks apart. And then, you know, what about the next one? What do you want to access? You know, that's a really simple question. Depending on where you are right now, because Darius, you know, he has his own missions and goals. You know, what do you want to learn now? You know, and oh, another thing, you know, a lot of people, this is pretty across the board with astral projection OBE, people that talk about it, they always mention about, oh, you learn a lot of stuff, but they never give you an example of one thing that they've learned across the board. Oh yeah, you get to learn a lot of stuff, but they never say what they learned. Now, this comes from somebody who's astral projection, OBE, whatever you want to call it, on a regular basis. I'm not trying to like be harsh on these people, But this is kind of what I noticed across the board. Like, give some examples of, okay, when I was in halls of Mented, the information was transferred into me telepathically, and this is what I learned. Fill in the blank. No one says that. So guys, just to wrap it up, most important one for me is deceased relative verifiable information, because at the end of the day, man, I don't care how many realms are there, how many, I don't care about the meanings of love and unconditional love. I don't care about fear. If fear was the biggest obstacle, I should be like all over the place, this realm, because I have no fear. I look forward to these experiences. Most important one, like right now, if you're listening to me right now, you can probably relate. If you can verify a specific information that you gather from a deceased relative and you're able to come back and physically verify that, that basically hits the nail on the head. I've been trying to do that with my father, like I said, multiple times. The answer hasn't been what I'm looking for. I use the ice water example, or like, I'm asking him, where's the watch that he promised? He's like, I just look at a clock, His answer's been stuff like that. So I think I covered most of it. As you can see from this list, a lot of these questions has not been asked by anybody. These guys have an hour, 2 hour with one of the best out-of-body travelers, but they fail to ask these simple questions. I don't know where or how they get these questions. I always want to say they want to make it fancy. How do I make this question sound fancy or something? And you know what? Good for them. They have hundreds of thousands of subscribers. Last I checked, I have like 190 subscribers. So there you go. I guess they're doing something right? If you want to, speaking of that, you want to support the channel, like, share, subscribe. Watch other videos. I've done other videos. I just did one on astral sex, another one, a new one, which just kind of happened last night with all this stuff. And buy me coffee if you want to support the channel financially. That's it for now. I'm gonna probably get this out for you guys, I don't know, by the end of tomorrow or something. See you guys on the next one.